Hi everybody, this is Brother Stucki, and we are doing our critique this week on our print advertisements. So a couple of things. First of all, I want to go in here and I want to look at the creative ad final requirements and just talk about them for a minute, and then we'll go to Facebook and look at everything. The minimum expectations are listed, as you can see right here, and hopefully you have followed all of these very carefully. First, you used the generator to choose a household or office product and target audience. Determine a specific brand for the chosen product. Include the company logo in the design. 2+ images blended. So that's going to be an important part. We're going to be looking for Photoshop work where you have blended at least 2 images into one. Symbolic visual communication. You're going to need to have some written content. That includes body copy, original and creative headline, and a call to action. 2 of the following mediums will be used to execute your design. They will be the same design in 2 different sizes. And so you guys all know about that already. You have your magazine ad at 2 different size options, and then TV ad or web, blog, static ad, Facebook ad, etc. So hopefully you all came in here and selected. If you didn't, hopefully you obtained permission from me. But make sure that if you did come up with something that wasn't generated here, you're going to need to be looking and coming up with an audience and reporting on that of what's the gender, age, relationship, education, income, and media consumption for your group or your brand. We're going to be looking at design expectations. You need to be practicing good typography, using color schemes, good photography, and so on. It's all pretty simple and basic. You know what you're doing. You've done great so far. So let's go ahead and look. We're going to start right here with the first ad. Now, as you all recall, this is the first time I've looked at the project. So these are first impressions. Here we have, hold the power of the universe in your hand. So we're advertising a pen here. Anything is possible with the Fisher Space Pen, guaranteed to perform no matter the situation, writes underwater, upside down at any angle, over grease, and in extreme temperatures. Okay, great. So, a couple of things. One, this is a great start to an ad. I love the picture with the universe. We see the stars and the galaxies and everything going, and that's a great way to emphasize this, especially with that opening statement of holding the power of the universe in your hand. Now, a couple of things that I noticed is I don't see a call to action anywhere. How do I get one of these pens? Is there a website? Is there a phone number? How can I get one? So we need to have a call to action here. Okay. Now, for the more critical side of things, when it comes to design, notice on this picture, we have this picture of the hand, and there seems to be just a really slight white stroke around it. And that's going to be a challenge to clean that up. But I would recommend doing so. That really makes it not look realistic. It looks like it's stacked on top of a picture, and you didn't quite cut it out. So you're going to want to blend that a little bit. There's a few different options. You can use some masking and soften your brush and decrease your opacity and just blend those edges, feather them a little bit. You've seen the basics on how to do so. So practice those and see what you can come up with on that. But that would be my #1 recommendation, would be let's clean that up. Hold the power of the universe in your hand is right aligned with about 1/4 of an inch, it looks like. And then we see that the statement below is actually left aligned. So I would say let's make either both of them right aligned and then align them with the same left margin. So I guess left aligned or right aligned. Which one are you going to do, and do it for both? If you're going to stick with right aligned, then the bottom one needs to be right aligned. If you're going to make them left aligned, make the top left aligned and keep the margin and the alignment of those the same. I would actually try to figure out a way to give Fisher Space Pen logo down here in the bottom right a little more space. Maybe that just means moving up this sentence a few more spaces. Just give it some breathing room so that it really can be noticed and it's not just kind of blending in with the text. Hey, it looks great. It's off to a great start, so I look forward to seeing the next changes. Let's go ahead and move on to the next. For even your biggest mistakes, high polymer eraser. That is a powerful eraser if it can remove a tattoo. Couple of things. It's a great concept. I like where you're going. Typography looks good. I don't think I would emphasize. I think if I was going to do it, I would actually take the three words at the top for even your, and then mistakes, and let's actually make those the same typeface as the type in blue below. That sans serif typeface. You can keep it white, make it, and even keep it the same size, but let's just emphasize biggest alone. I wouldn't put for even your biggest mistakes all in that decorative font. I would just emphasize one word. We have a nice place for the logo. I don't see a call to action again, and that looks like that's going to be a big thing here. We've got to include a way for me to get it. Where do I get the high polymer eraser by Pentel? Do I buy it online? Is it available through some big box retailer? How do I find it? So really be thinking about that. And then one of the things that I have to bring up, which is a little bit of a harder one to bring up, but we're going to have to ask you to actually use a different image. This, especially up in the right corner, we can see that there's a little bit of some indecent exposure. So let's see if we can find a better image or find a way to cover that up. Maybe you use the stamping tool to move that sports bra or tank top or whatever it is up to cover some of that cleavage and see what you can do with that. But remember, this is BYU-Idaho, and we do have an honor code, and we're expected to do things tastefully, and we are representatives of the university and of Christ, and that's something that we're asked to enforce. So let's see what you can do about that. Overall, it's a great concept, and I think you can actually fix it pretty easily. I think you can, it's really going to not be something bad. I think you can do it quite well. So I'll look forward to seeing the next proof. Let's move on. Okay. Hanging on by a thread. A&E Guterman. We have the feeling stress for everyday life. Okay. Okay, and here we do have a call to action. So good work there. You're the first. We have a website here. Go to guterman.com to get your thread today. Now, the only question I have is I feel like the image is actually more like yarn than thread. So I don't know if you can find a different picture and make it look more like thread. That would be my biggest concern in this issue. Other than that, I think it looks great. It looks like to me you've probably merged three images. We have this background image, we have this lady that's climbing, and then we have the string brought in. So great work on that. It looks really nice. I think the hanging on by a thread, I would recommend right aligning it. And then even pulling this in just a tiny bit, that question mark is really close to the edge. Remember that no matter what the ad is being used for, we need to observe margins, especially because that could be in the fold of the magazine. And that could get hidden pretty easily depending on how many pages are in the magazine. If you don't understand what I mean, open up a magazine and look at the gutter, which is that crease, and see if you can see that sometimes things get lost, and that's something we want to avoid, and a good designer will be watching out for that. So I would recommend about a 1/2 inch margin on all sides when possible. Looks great other than that, so let's see what we can do about maybe the string and hanging on by a thread. It's a great idea, it's a great approach, so good luck, and I'll look forward to seeing the next draft. Okay, pop this in your wish list this holiday season. Making your Christmas a holiday delight. Okay, so we have the picture of the pot, which is great. And I believe the snowflakes are probably, I don't know if you created them, but one of the things that I noticed right away is we need to use a second image in here. We need to blend together, and that could be done in several different ways. Whether we bring in maybe a Christmas tree that becomes kind of part of the background, or in the reflection, or some Christmas lights or something that comes in that makes it feel a little more festive. The snowflakes help, but we need to blend in an image. The other thing I see right off is we need some kind of a call to action. How do I buy the pot? So let's go ahead and, in fact, I'm going to go back right here for just a second because I don't believe I checked that here. Okay, I did. So back to the pot. So let's use some kind of a call to action so we know where we can get a Calphalon pot. I'd see if we could emphasize making your Christmas a holiday delight just a little more. And then, like I said, bring in a second image, use it to kind of wrap it or something. Bring in the holiday festivities with a holiday image. Maybe you even put the pot on a holiday set table or something like that. There's a lot of different things you can do, so I'll look forward to seeing it. Good luck as you think about it. Think about it over Thanksgiving and ways you could do it. Maybe even take a picture and merge it in somehow from your own Thanksgiving dinner. Okay. A hammer for everyone. Stop waiting, you can do it too. Hammers are not just for boys. Okay. Now, first of all, I don't see anything indicating that this is one of the items that was actually used in the generator. Maybe it is. I'm unfamiliar with it. So remember, if you need to do something that generates from the assignment, and you need a logo on here. What kind of a hammer is this? Who made it? Where's the logo? Is there a call to action? I like where you've brought in the sky and the hole through the brick wall and the old lady and the hard hat and the hammer. So you're off to a good start, but let's find out if this is generated by the assignment, then that's fine, keep it, but let's find a logo for it as well. Okay, and maybe, yeah, okay. So those would be the main things I would recommend on that. Okay, let's just make sure we're doing the assignment correctly. Okay. Power up for adventure. Now this is quite clever. I really like how you have put the Energizer battery on the back of the scuba diver as his oxygen tank. That's quite intelligent. I like the placement of the Energizer logo. And I really like how you put the words in here as well. One of the things that we need now is some kind of a call to action. Okay, again, it's just going to, everybody knows Energizer, but you'll find that if you look at an Energizer ad, you are going to find some kind of a call to action, most likely, even if it's just a website, energizer.com, or if it's their Facebook icon or something. So that would be the main thing here that we'd be looking at. It looks great. So let's just make that change and go from there. Some still dream with a magic wand to clean their homes. With Debo, you don't need magic. Okay. Now I'm a little confused by the top statement. Some still dream with a magic wand to clean their homes. It doesn't appear to be a complete sentence to me. I might be reading it wrong, but I'd see if we could reword that a little bit. Maybe some still dream of having a magic wand to clean their homes or something like that. With Debo, you don't need magic. And then we got this Debo vacuum here and the Ecovacs logo. Looks good. I'm assuming that this is probably a couple of images. We have the witch in here, and then we have the clean house and the magic wand sparkle. So great job on that. You've done really good creating that image. It really would be now the statement and seeing what we could do about that. We have the tasteful typography and a nice color scheme being used. We're using the red and the whites. It might not hurt to make your drop shadow up here a little more subtle. It's a little bit bold, and I would try and increase the size of it a little bit and allow it to blend. It just makes it a little cleaner and doesn't put such contrast between the shadow and the words. And then really some kind of a call to action again on this. So it's off to a great start. It's looking really good. I like where you're going. And let's see what we can do next. Find the light of your life with Hudson Lighting's vintage Edison light bulbs. Get yours today on Amazon. Okay, here we have an image of a light bulb and a couple kissing. Fun way of looking at this. And it looks like to me that the logo is probably what we see up in the right corner. I really like that yellow in there, and I wonder what could we do to bring that yellow out some more, a little more. What if you made your text below that same yellow gold color, or maybe even just the word light, or Hudson Lightings, or Edison light bulbs, or Amazon, something like that. So that would be my main thing, is let's incorporate that color scheme a little bit. Another thing is I wonder how we could clean up that light bulb a little bit. It's just a little bit rough over here on the edges, and I'd like to see that smoothed out a little bit. A couple of ways you could do that would be to actually use your marquee tool, create a circle, and then when you're in Photoshop, you can go to select, I believe. Let me see. I don't think you guys can see my screen, but what I would do is I would use my marquee tool. I would pick the elliptical marquee tool, which is the second button down on your tool palette, okay? And I would draw the circle, and then I would go to select on the top menu, and I would, let's see here. If we drew the circle, it'd be kind of the marching ants, basically is what it would be. And then I would go to select, and I would transform the selection. And now I can move that circle around, and I can make it larger or smaller. And that's what I would do to create that circle. And then I would use a mask to just cut out the very, very edge, just to create that really nice, smooth edge. That's one way. There's so many ways you could do it. So that's one thing I'm going to look forward to, is seeing that light bulb nicely cut out and seeing the gold colors of the color scheme brought in. Also, it wouldn't hurt to find a way to contrast your typography. You're using a very thin sans serif typeface. You could easily make your top line bold Find the light of your life. Make it really bold and gold. And then with Hudson Lighting's phrase, smaller and below, in the thin typeface. Easy to do, so I look forward to seeing it. Let's move on. Okay, feather pillows are for the birds. Let's see if there's a bigger ad here. Okay. Come try our hypoallergenic comfort pillow, advanced technology to ensure you sleep like a human baby. Okay. So here we have a great picture of feathers and the feathered pillow brought in. So you are using a couple images, it looks like to me. The feather on top and the feathers behind. And I like that you're using purple everywhere. We got the logo placed in there. But one of the biggest things about purple is I can't just go to the feather or to the mattress store down the street and buy a purple mattress. From what I understand, purple is exclusively online. And so that's something I think we need to emphasize in this ad is how do I buy my purple mattress? Now, another thing that I would consider is we got this feathered pillows are for the birds up at the top. And we have a white stroke around those. And that's one of the things that I really discourage is putting a stroke around type. I want to see a font that is bold enough, and I think this one is, that I don't need the white stroke around it to add contrast, especially since the background is mostly white. So I would remove that. Now, one of the things also that I would consider is the font choices, especially of the two fonts that we use are both sans serif typefaces, but there's not much contrast. So what I would do is if you're going to use, I wouldn't use two sans serifs together. I would choose one sans serif and use a bold and a light or thin, or use a serif and a sans serif. Let's find some contrast in here. Come try our hypoallergenic comfort pillow phrase there. It appears handwritten, kind of like with a Sharpie marker. And I would dare say that in a corporate advertisement, you're going to want something that looks a little more corporate than handwritten. So I would consider that as well. See what you can do. Look at some advertisements in some magazine ads or some Black Friday ads this weekend and see what kinds of fonts are used, particularly in the mattress industry even, and see what you can find out and try to mimic it. I wonder how we could, I guess, even make this more visibly a pillow. See, I've been talking about a mattress all along, but now I'm finding it's actually feather pillows, or pillows are for the birds. Come try our comfort pillow. When I was talking about a mattress in my mind all the time. So somehow I want to see that defined. Maybe you're putting it on a bed. Maybe someone's even laying on it. That's something that I would really encourage that you look into and see what you can do. So there's a little bit of design work and a little bit of research to do, but I want to see this a little more clearly defined, and then a little bit more of a corporate feel to it. So it's off to a great start, and with those few changes and some research, I think you can come up with a great ad. Okay. Let's see here. We'll look at. I'm hoping I can find one that's a little big enough, a little bit bigger. Okay. Here we are looking at a logo, Febreze, but we're looking at an illustration and a illustrated onion next to the couch. One of the things that I would strongly encourage is that we find a picture of a living room. Think about some of the advertisements you've recently seen. There's some air fresheners, I don't remember which ones they are, it might be Febreze, in fact. And they show very nice, clean homes, and they say, this is how you picture your home. But when your friends come over, this is what it smells like, or this is what they picture. And for example, it starts out with a very modern 21st century kitchen. It's a dream kitchen. But when the friends walk in, the kitchen island is replaced with a dumpster. Okay. Get rid of the illustration in this situation. I want to see photographs. I want to see them blended, and find a way, an onion on the side of the couch. Like I said, it could be a dumpster in the kitchen. It could be a kid's bedroom that looks like a men's locker room now with a bed in it or something like that. So think about those, some smelly areas, and let's apply a photo. Let's apply a call to action. How do I buy the Febreze? Let's create a color scheme. Look for something with some space so you don't have to put text over top of windows and curtains. The wording right here over the window with the curtains is a little bit hard to read. So those are my recommendations on this piece. So good luck with that, and I'll look forward to seeing your final draft. Okay, Hallmark. Envelop your love in a brand you trust. Okay, I like this. I love seeing the hand coming out of the envelope with the flowers. It's very clever. It really creates a neat idea. I feel like the envelop and trust is a good font. Contrasts nice with you love it, a brand you trust. One of the things that I would recommend is let's decrease the size of that though, so that it actually looks like it's printed on the envelope and that it's printed just on that lower flap and not overlapping the fold lines. That acts as a little bit of a distraction, so I'd actually just make those a little bit smaller. And then I wonder what we could do. Maybe it would be shrinking the entire envelope and flower bouquet, because I feel like the envelop your love in a brand you trust, and then your phrase down in the footer, send your love through the mail, show your friends and family how much you care by using a brand you can both trust. It feels like that gets very busy next to the envelop your love in a brand you trust. We need to add some contrast. We need some white space in here. We've got to open it up so we can breathe a little bit. So that would be my main recommendation there. I do wonder if envelop is spelled correctly or not. I don't know if am I saying it right? Is envelop or envelope your love? I don't know. But I feel like if it's envelope, it should probably have an E on the end. If envelope is a word, then it's probably fine how it is. So really, I think it's a start, but we need some white space. Maybe what you do is shrink down the entire envelope and bouquet, put your footer actually on top as a header, and put your Hallmark logo down in the bottom right. I wonder what kind of a background image we could apply here versus just the peach colored solid background. That's a challenge, but it's one of the things that I've tried to apply more and more as I design, is coming up with a background that goes with the design and not just using a solid background. So I'd see what you could find. Do some more looking, do a little bit of research, and I think it's off to a great start. You have a smart idea here, and with a little bit of work, I think it can be a really cool ad. Okay, here we have a picture of a computer, some $100 bills, clock, and an illustrated heart. Corral, let us take care of your plate. We know you have plenty to fill it with. Now, one of the things about this is we see these multiple images, but I'd really like to see some more than just extracted images. I want to see things merged together as one. I'm not sure what this big kind of rounded circle is for sure. It's just a little bit confusing, and I'm not quite sure what you're attempting Let us take care of your plate. We know you have plenty to fill it with. Okay, so it's a plate, maybe. What could we do to make it look more like a plate? What could we do to add some dimension so it doesn't look like these are just flat images sitting on the plate, but actually, how could we create this and fill up the plate? That's something I would like to see on this. Maybe we take a picture of a plate and we're looking, instead of straight down at it, we're looking at it piled high with money and other priorities. So I would recommend playing around with that a little bit. Let us take care of your plate. We know you have plenty to fill it with. So what kind of a call to action could we add to this? How can I get in touch with Corral? Is it through a website? Do you have a local office? What's the next step? Where do I go from here? So really, I think with a little bit of brainstorming and a little bit of research and some creativity, I think you can pile up a plate and even take a picture of it, or you can find a picture of a plate and a picture of these items and blend them and montage them together into a really neat looking full plate of priorities. That would be my main thing that I would like to see on this. So it's off to a good start, but I think we need to step back a little bit and reconsider a little bit on this and finish. And so I look forward to seeing the next draft on that. Let's go ahead and move on. Okay, here we have, it looks like to me, an old man's face on a young boy's body. The same pen you used when you were a kid, just now with extra life. Get life back with Bic Extra Life. Okay. So a couple of things that I would consider here is I'd love to see how we could clean up the face a little bit of this older man. It's not quite cut out as smoothly as it could be. And it's kind of just placed on top of this image. We need to see what we could do to blend it. One thing I would consider is what could we do to match some skin tones as well? Does that mean we need to find another picture of a head or another body? Maybe so. Or maybe it's just a kid using the pen. I don't know. I think it's going to require a little bit of brainstorming, but we have such a difference, there's such a contrast between the head and the body that it doesn't look, I think, as professional as we would want it to. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to make it obvious that it's an old man's head on a kid's body, but it's too incomplete at this point still. So I would see what you can do about that. And then I wonder if we could shorten the phrase just a little bit. It seems pretty long. We're using 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 lines altogether. And I wonder if we shortened that, edited it a little bit, or even moved some words up and reduced the lines even down to 7 lines or 6 lines. And then you could place Bic over here. Keep it left aligned with your phrase. If you're going to create this long line going all the way straight down the page, then let's align Bic on the left with the paragraph. And then put established 1950 perhaps in the same thin sans serif font as your phrase. And then let's find a call to action. Where do I get a Bic pen? Where can I learn more about this extra life? Is there a bicextralife.com, or check it out on Facebook, or what? How do I learn more? Maybe it's get a free pen by calling, or check us out for the chance to win a free pen. I'd just play around a little bit with that. And I think that things will work out. Now, I am curious whether this is a picture of the pen in the kid's hand. And that's something I would check. What does a Bic Extra Life pen look like? And can you apply it into the image instead of the one that's in there, if that's not? So good luck with that. I'll look forward to seeing the next proof. And let's move on to the next. Fix, fill, and seal all of your problems. So here we have a glue stick. We have a picture of a hand holding the glue stick, and we have a very, very busy background. And I'm wondering, what could we do to clean that up a little bit? I wonder if we could even blur it out a little bit, or if we could find something, show a little bit more depth by having a blurred out background. And I'm curious about the fix, fill, and seal all of your problems. You know, I've used glue sticks, and I'm not sure what fill means. Like, fill what? Am I using it as a filler in carpentry work? It leaves me just a little bit unknown, okay? One thing I'd like to see on here would be the logo applied to the ad somewhere, not just on the glue stick itself. And I would recommend also that we not go with this decorative typeface. It's a little bit distracting, and I wonder how many people read it. One of the things that you want is you want your phrase to be almost so easy to read that people don't even have to stop and think about it. And here I feel like there's so much distraction that I really have to stop and think about it. And there's still information missing. So not only do I have to stop and think about it, but then I also, where's the call to action? Who is this? You know, it's Elmer's, but it's upside down, so I don't even know that for sure without looking at the glue stick upside down to figure that out. But so we need a logo, a call to action, an easy to read phrase. So really on this, I would say we need to step back just a little bit and see what we can do. You have a few extra days to do it. So I'd do some brainstorming and see what you can come up with. I like the idea and the approach, and I think really it can be done quite simply, but don't think too hard about it. Try and simplify more. Okay. Be a little Irish. Feel clean. And we got Irish Spring. Okay, so we have this hand with the clovers, and we got kind of this, probably it looks like the bathroom sink, maybe the drain or something perhaps. One thing that I'm wondering is, I know that Irish Spring is soap, but I wonder, could we put a picture of the soap somewhere in here? It might be worth considering. And then another one is, we got this Be a Little Irish. And this green is very dark green against the very dark blue, and it's actually a little bit hard to read. Now, I'm assuming that it was probably taken, that you sampled the green from the Irish Spring logo, and so that's good. But I wonder what we could do to add a little more contrast to that. So I'd play around a little bit with that. And then the Feel Clean on the left, it's great, but it's so white, as is the picture, that it's a little bit difficult to read. So let's think about those a little bit and see what we could do to just make this a little more readable. And let's put a call to action in here. Where do I get Irish Spring? How about this? Let's say I've never heard of Irish Spring. What is it? I have no idea what Irish Spring is by just looking at this ad. So I'd think about that as well. So we'll look forward to the next on that. And let's move on here to the next ad. Make it permanent and Sharpie. I like where you're going here. I like that you've applied, it looks like it was drawn with a Sharpie, everything about it. And that's clever, but it concerns me because we're not blending any images together. We're not using any photography. So we really need to think about that. What could we do to apply some photography to this ad? Could it be a hand? Could we bring a hand in that's writing with it? Writing with the Sharpie? You know, we've seen so many things lately with Sharpie markers and hands writing a message across the board. That maybe that would be an option. But we need to bring some photography in. We need a call to action. How do I get a Sharpie? What is a Sharpie? Can we see a picture of the Sharpie? That would be the main thing I would recommend here. Okay, let's look at the final. Don't fail dinner, Master Chef. We got some spatulas brought in. We got an archer. Kind of a clever idea here. I think we're trying to say that this is your one chance. Do it right. One of the things I would like to see is, could we use Photoshop to remove the white background from this logo? Because right now it's just a white box on top, and it's the only item we see that has a white box around it. It really, it adds contrast, but it doesn't look like it is finished. Now, some of the options you could do would be extract it by removing that white background and maybe take the M and the Master Chef and make them both white on that black background. Okay, so what you would do is you would select that in Photoshop, erase the white background from it, and then select it all and paint it white or red or something. If we're going to keep the red, I'd like to see the red applied somewhere else in here, like don't fail dinner. See how it looks. It might not look right. So I think it's off to a great start. It's a neat idea, neat concept, but there's just a few finishing things here. Where do I get a Master Chef spatula? Is it available at most retail stores? Is it online only, exclusive? Is there a website? What kind of call to action is there? So good luck with that. I look forward to seeing what you can come up with, and we'll see that next week. So thank you everybody for participating. I'm happy with what I've seen, but there are some needed changes. So you have a few extra days. Remember, you don't need to submit these until Tuesday next week. I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving. Travel safe, be smart, and have a good one. We'll talk to you again.